Good to go?
Yep.
All right, good evening, everyone. Today I'm going to be refuting Daniel's claim that raising the smoking age to 21 is ineffective. To defend this position, he proposed that 1, there's a lack of valid proof and evidence that increasing the smoking age prevents young teens from smoking. 2, he proposed that lawmakers are failing to protect the youth from underage smoking. And 3, he gave a claim of policy that instead of just raising the smoking age, a more direct action should be taken. Today we'll be proving why these 3 claims are wrong. The first claim that I'm going to be refuting is that there's a lack of valid proof and evidence that increasing the smoking age prevents young teens from smoking. As a matter of fact, this is not true at all. There's lots of evidence that shows that increasing the smoking age is extremely effective. I looked at my opponent's sources, and I'm going to be using one of them. He used a source from Tobacco Free Kids, which is an organization dedicated to finding new ways to prevent teens from smoking. And according to them, one of the larger tobacco companies, R.J. Reynolds, which is behind cigarettes, Camel, if you're aware of those, they've stated that if a man has never smoked by the age of 18, the odds are 3 to 1 that he never will, and that by the age of 24, the odds are 20 to 1. So basically what this evidence is showing, and this is coming straight from a tobacco company, is that the older an individual becomes, the less likely he is to ever start smoking. So enforcing these new laws actually allows younger smokers to have less of a chance to even start smoking, just because most smoking habits are started from a younger age. Secondly, I looked at a study published by BMJ, which is an international peer-reviewed journal that multiple doctors will collaborate and look at other people's studies. And what they were doing was they conducted a study from 2006 to 2010 in the town of Needham, Massachusetts. And this study, what they did was, it was a local law that you were not allowed to buy cigarettes unless you're over the age of 21, whereas in the state of Massachusetts, it was only over the 18, so it was a localized study. And they noticed that over that 5-year study, there was a huge decrease in teen smoking participation from 13% to 7%, and this was consistent across all demographics. To prove this, they did multiple surveys on a monthly basis with high school students, and it was through an anonymous process, which would encourage the students to tell the truth about if they were smoking or not. And the numbers almost halved in just a 5-year span. This research was extremely recent, and compared to my opponent's study, which he abstracted from the 90s, which showed the exact opposite. So over time, I believe that there is a chance that increasing the age of smoking is extremely effective. Further, his secondary claim was that lawmakers are failing to protect the youth from underage smoking. This is in fact not true as well. Just to start, I looked at WeCard.org, which you might be aware of. When you go into grocery stores, there's always signs with the WeCard.org logo. And basically what they are, it's a non-profit watchdog group that monitors tobacco companies and keeps them in check. And they noted that fines and penalties are given to any individual, any store, or any company that in any way furnishes to another minor who is under the age of 18. There's penalties for that, and it can be faced with a $600 fine for the first time, and this number gradually increases every single time you're caught giving out tobacco products to minors. Further, my opponent pointed out that illegally established markets are present, which they basically supply cigarettes to teenagers. But I looked at his sources, and there's not really a sufficient evidence to support this claim. So I'm going to move on to the third claim that he proposed. It was a claim of policy. He proposed that more actions should be taken instead of just increasing the age. Although that is one way that you could solve the problem of solving underage smoking. The law that we have that increases the age of smoking from 18 to 21 is already effective as it is. And I'm going to counter this claim by proposing that new law is already effective, and the reason why he believes that it isn't effective is because we've only had the law for less than a year. And so it's too early to see what the actual results are. So I pulled up a source from the Institute of Medicine, which is also an international journal where doctors collaborate together to solve health problems that we have. And they came up with this theory that if globally we increase, or sorry, not globally, but nationally, if we increase the smoking age from 18 to 21, approximately 223,000 lives of children born between the years of 2000 to 2019 would be saved just because they wouldn't start smoking. For those of you who are unaware, smoking is one of the biggest self-caused deaths in the United States, and California took a step from raising the smoking age in order to prevent lives in the future from dying due to tobacco use. And that concludes my speech.
All right, the preview is fine. On your first point, you take a direct contradictory position. You suggest that there's good information to suggest that these things do have an impact. The R.J. Reynolds Company itself suggests that if people don't smoke until later, they're less likely to smoke at all, and you've got some good data on that particular point. What is needed here is some information that suggests that raising the smoking age does have that effect. It does restrict access to smoking. It decreases the number of people, or it delays people from smoking. I think there's kind of a bit of a presupposition built into that, although that's what the law is supposed to do. That it accomplishes that is, I think, a little bit iffy. You have very good evidence, though, that suggests that that is true based on that one study in the one town in Massachusetts, which I thought was pretty effective and suggests that there is, in fact, an impact there. There may be other places that have higher smoking ages, and that's another place where I think you could find some additional information, but otherwise I thought you had a very good response on that point. On the issue of legislators having failed, you basically point out that there are laws in place that try to enforce these existing prohibitions, punish people who violate the laws and rules. You challenge this idea of an illegal marketplace because by simply saying, well, they didn't really provide sufficient proof on it. I don't remember what proof they provided, and since you don't really summarize what that proof is, you just give me the counterclaim on it. I think that's a little bit problematic. If there's an absence of information that suggests that there's an underground market or that underage people are getting access to cigarettes, there ought to be some reason to believe that that's true. And then your last argument, basically, there's an argument about what are the best ways to do this, and he suggests, or the advocates, I guess, suggested some other possible policy actions that could be more effective. I think it would be reasonable for them to say, for instance, raising the prices or putting additional taxes would decrease it more than raising the smoking age. But I thought you had a good answer here on the California law. It's relatively recent. You've got a good medical study that estimates that the total impact of this law is going to be lives saved in the future. So even though you don't have a specific number about how many fewer smokers there might be, you do have an impact on how many more people will live as a result of that law. And I thought that was pretty specific. Okay, thank you.